everyone, welcome again to another Teacher Joseph video clip. Just before we get started on more words for today, in my podcast of today, which as you know goes out separately, I was talking about our prisoner release scheme which kicks in today. And I just wanted to let you know that to kick in means when something takes effect. So, for example, my new medication kicked in yesterday, or when my new medication kicks in, I'll be feeling much better. The prisoner release scheme kicked in yesterday, and that meant that immediately 1,000 prisoners were released, with many, many more numbers to come. And if you want to know more about that, you can hear my podcast, which is also of today. So just look for the podcast called Prisoner Early Release Scheme Kicks In. Right, so let's move on because we want to get through all the different things we want to say here. All the different new words we want to discover. So let me just change my color for today. And we'll choose a nice red, yes. Right, so we've done whole chunks of this already. So let's have a little look. Yes, right. So I'm just going to begin here. This woman is wearing a navy colored business suit. So navy is a color. It's kind of like blue. Oops, that's navy colored. Okay. Very common, and it's called navy because I think that is the color of our military service, the navy, the people who look after the sea. I don't know if they're called the navy because they wear the color navy, or if they're called the navy and therefore the color is called that. I don't know, but either way, the color is called navy. It's like a dark business blue. Right, so the woman said, feel free to walk around, okay, in a way that sounded almost menacing. Yeah, menacing, if someone sounds a bit menacing, it sounds like they're kind of watching you as if they're about to do something bad. So she was kind of like hovering around me, I don't know quite what she wanted, but it didn't feel natural. And then she said, don't forget to check out our refurbished Victorian toilet suite. As I mentioned before, British people, we love talking about Victorian things and particularly toilets. I really don't know why we do that. It's horrible. But we are a little bit obsessed with these kind of things. I responded, thanks, okay, trying not to show how bizarre the whole thing sounded. Bizarre is just another word for strange. Now, this part here probably was confusing for you. It says, would you like a pause stayer magazine? And that's because she paused her voice and stared at me before she said the word magazine. It's a way of maybe pointing out the discomforts of the conversation, or also a way of letting you know how special the magazine is. It's like this. Would you like a magazine? As she makes direct eye contact. So again, I don't quite know what her intentions were, whether she thought maybe I wouldn't like it because it's religious. It was a church after all. So I did the same thing. I said, yes, I'll take one. So you can hear there it was creating a kind of an atmosphere. So that's what pause stayer is. And we often write it in this way just to give you an idea of what we are referring to. Pause stare. Okay, I'll just put it here as well. Um, there we are. I'm just going to take these three dots out because uh, I don't want you to confuse those three dots. It's not part of the phrase. So, would you like a magazine? Very British, that, isn't it? Yes, I'll take one. While staring at each other. So I smiled and walked a few steps away. I never understood why churches always seem to be full of people with fake upper class English accents. Yes, that's something that we do here. It's a way to gain control. It's a way of saying, well, I'm better than you are because I'm in some way more educated. That's a huge thing around here. We see it a lot in different places. In fact, if you've ever been to Dublin in Ireland, you'll notice that there's a few people there who have very strong Irish accents. And as you mix more with different types of people, there's a whole group who speak very posh, very politely English, yes. And it's their way of letting you know that they're different. I mean, they all come from English families, not all of them, of course, but many of them have English surnames because, of course, they were occupied by many years, occupied by English people for many years, I should say. So there is this thing of having a fake upper class English accent. And of course, across the Celtic world, there's also Scottish names and accents as well. And they would be in the majority. But there's a lot of people who really do cling on to some kind of English identity. I'll tell you where else you find that. In places like Australia, you have people with very strong Australian accents, but once you go to court or you talk to people in authority, you tend to find that they have very pronounced English accents to associate them with our monarchy, because of course our monarchy in history controlled the government, didn't it, in Australia? So, yes, you find it a lot across our old colonies, and here as well, people with very strong, pronounced English accents, and she was one of them. She had this really fake upper class English accent. I mean, in fairness to her, she was actually English. Okay, so she wasn't Scottish or Irish. She was actually English, but very polite accent. So this is a very common thing that we use here in order to gain control. My doctor, one of them at least, I think the male doctor, he does that. Hello. He's very Scottish, but I think doctors are trained that way, aren't they? It's part of their profession. Right. So I put my best received pronunciation on rerun. Okay, so that just means that I also did this. So if she was playing the accent game with me, I also was going to do my best English accent. Just to make her feel comfortable, she'd certainly met her match. Now, these days, match is associated with dating. You've all heard of the famous dating site Match.com, for example. But here, this phrase "to meet your match" means to meet your competitor, your opponent, someone who's really going to defeat you. So you could say things like, for example, the football team definitely met their match in that game. They didn't win. If you meet your match, you meet someone who's able to beat you, to meet your match. All right, so she'd certainly met her match, and that means, yeah, when she met me, I can probably do most accents around the UK. So if she was trying to speak with a strong upper class accent, so can I. So she had met her match. Another example, if you're playing ping pong and you're the champion of ping pong, of course, if someone comes along that can beat you, then you've met your match. Nice idiomatic phrase to mean you've met someone who can beat you. Yes, and let's see if we can find some more. Attending church in the UK can be a little bit creepy. Yeah, creepy just means strange or weird. And she reminded me of all the reasons why I like spending Sunday mornings at home cooking or talking to people on Skype. And I don't think there's anything else I need to say there. Just this word here, trinkets. I love your bracelet. Oh, this little trinket. A trinket is just a little piece of jewelry that's more like a souvenir, that's not worth anything. So she was playing down the value of the gold that was wrapped around her wrist. I love your bracelet. Oh, this little trinket, she commented as she revealed a chunk of gold. A trinket is something that's maybe a memory or a souvenir. It doesn't usually have a lot of value. Yes, and we'll leave the rest for our final part tomorrow because we're already over 11 minutes. Doesn't it go fast, the time sometimes? And quickly to pick up again with you, this motivational moment does learn and give you a sense of euphoria. I'm just going to ask you, how much does accent work feature in your learning? Okay. I'm asking that because accent is, of course, very important. And on Friday, we'll be looking at uh, just little tips on how to speak and present better. But right now, I'm going. So have a lovely day, and I'll catch you all soon. Bye.